What if I told you that the innocent sprinkle in your coffee, the comforting sweetness in your dessert, is responsible for more death, more destruction, and more human suffering than almost any other commodity in history? This isn't just about cavities or diabetes. This is the hidden, brutal truth behind sugar. A truth that built empires, fueled revolutions, and carved pathways of unimaginable cruelty across continents. By the end of this video, you'll uncover facts about the sugar you consume daily that will fundamentally change how you see it, and perhaps how you see the world. Prepare to journey into history's most unexpectedly dark obsession. Our story begins not with conquest, but with a simple plant, cultivated quietly in the humid jungles of New Guinea, spreading slowly through ancient India. For centuries, sugar was a rare exotic spice, a medicinal marvel, whispered about in faraway lands. A treasure reserved for kings, alchemists, and the very wealthy. But then, something shifted. A thirst for this sweet rarity ignited. A desire so intense, it would soon plunge millions into an abyss of forced labor and unimaginable horror. How did a luxury item for the elite transform into the very fuel of a global human catastrophe? Welcome to The History of, where we unearth the forgotten, the shocking, and the deeply human stories behind the things we think we know. The first major turning point arrived with the Crusades. European knights, marching east to reclaim the Holy Land, stumbled upon something far more tantalizing than relics. They found vast fields of sugarcane, cultivated by Arab farmers for centuries. This wasn't the honey they knew. This was a crystal, a concentrated sweetness that bewitched their palates. They tasted sugar, and they wanted more. They brought it back to Europe, not as a crop, but as a precious, incredibly expensive import. It was a status symbol, a drug for the wealthy, sold by apothecaries for its supposed health benefits. But a luxury commodity always sparks a desire for greater supply, and the insatiable appetite for this white gold would soon drive a terrifying expansion. Who would pay the ultimate price to satisfy Europe's burgeoning sweet tooth? The 15th century dawned, and with it, the age of exploration. Portuguese and Spanish mariners, driven by trade and conquest, ventured south along Africa's coast, then west into the Atlantic. They weren't just searching for new routes to Asia. They were searching for land to plant. Islands like Madeira and the Canaries became experimental laboratories. Here, in the volcanic soil, sugarcane thrived. But cultivation was labor-intensive, brutal work. Who would clear the land, plant, harvest, and process this demanding crop under the blistering sun? The answer, chillingly, was found in Africa. The nascent sugar plantations of the Atlantic Islands became the testing ground for what would become the Transatlantic Slave Trade. It was here that the economic model of sugar, mass production reliant on enslaved labor, was perfected. But this was just a prelude. The true scale of the horror was yet to unfold across an entire ocean. Then came the Americas. The vast, fertile lands of the Caribbean, combined with a climate perfectly suited for sugarcane, became the epicenter of the sugar empire. Islands like Barbados, Jamaica, and Hispaniola were transformed. The demand for labor exploded. Millions of Africans, snatched from their homes, were forcibly shipped across the Atlantic in the most inhumane conditions imaginable. Their destination? The sugar plantations, places that quickly earned the grim moniker, Hell on Earth. Life expectancy on these plantations was terrifyingly short. The work was backbreaking, clearing land, planting, cutting the razor-sharp cane, and then the excruciating process of boiling the juice in massive, scalding vats. It was a cycle of relentless brutality, driven by one simple, insidious force: profit. Sugar became the engine of the triangular trade, a global economic system built on human misery. It wasn't just a commodity. It was a currency of cruelty. And as European nations grew incredibly wealthy on this blood sugar, an unexpected backlash began to brew. How could something so sweet produce such bitter, violent resistance. The brutal conditions of the sugar plantations, coupled with the Enlightenment ideals spreading across Europe, ignited the flames of resistance. The most dramatic and successful was the Haitian Revolution, a slave uprising that shook the world. In Britain, the very nation that had profited most from sugar, a powerful abolitionist movement gained momentum. Quakers, former slaves like Olaudah Equiano, and fervent activists campaigned tirelessly, exposing the horrors of the trade. They used sugar itself as a symbol of their fight. People were urged to boycott sugar, to literally taste freedom by refusing to consume a product steeped in suffering. This moral crusade, combined with economic shifts, eventually led to the abolition of slavery in the British Empire in 1833. But even as one form of oppression ended, the world's demand for sugar didn't vanish. Instead, new forms of production emerged, like sugar beets in Europe, and new forms of exploited labor rose to meet the demand. Was the end of slavery truly the end of sugar's dark legacy, or merely a transformation of its methods? The Industrial Revolution supercharged sugar production. New technologies made it cheaper, faster, and more efficient to refine sugar. It stopped being a luxury and became a staple. Suddenly, it was everywhere. Sweets, candies, baked goods, accessible to the masses. The perception of sugar shifted from an exotic spice to an everyday comfort. Food manufacturers discovered that adding sugar made products more palatable, more addictive. Advertising campaigns relentlessly promoted sugar as a source of energy, a harmless treat, even a cure for various ailments. This carefully crafted public image masked a growing problem that wouldn't be fully understood for decades. How did something so clearly linked to historical misery become so utterly intertwined with our modern concept of delicious? Fast forward to the late 20th and 21st centuries, and sugar's legacy takes an even more insidious turn. The pervasive presence of added sugars in our diet has fueled a global health crisis. Obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease. Scientific evidence increasingly points to excessive sugar consumption as a major culprit. Food companies, driven by profit, continued to load their products with hidden sugars, often disguised under different names. The average person now consumes an alarming amount of sugar, far beyond what our bodies are designed to handle. This isn't just a personal choice. It's the result of decades of industrial food design. But are we finally waking up to the bitter reality of our sweet addiction? Today, we stand at a crossroads. There's a growing awareness about the historical and health impacts of sugar. Consumers are demanding transparency. Scientists are exploring healthier alternatives, from natural plant extracts to innovative cultivation methods. Governments are implementing sugar taxes, attempting to curb consumption. The food industry is slowly, reluctantly, beginning to reformulate products. The conversation about sugar has shifted dramatically from a simple treat to a complex ethical and health dilemma. But the legacy of sugar, the pain, the profit, the widespread health issues runs deep. Can we truly escape the addictive allure of sweetness? Or is its historical grip too strong to break? What will it take for humanity to truly sweeten its future, without repeating the bitter mistakes of its past? From an ancient luxury to a modern epidemic, the history of sugar is far more complex and disturbing than most of us ever imagine. It's a story of exploitation, innovation, and an insatiable human desire. The next time you reach for something sweet, remember, you're not just tasting a flavor. You're tasting centuries of ambition, suffering, and an undeniable impact on the very fabric of our world. Sugar isn't just a food. It's a historical force, and understanding its past is key to shaping a healthier future. If this journey into the hidden truths of sugar intrigued you, hit that like button and tell us in the comments what surprised you most about sugar's history. And if you want to uncover more untold stories that change how you see the world, please subscribe. We've got so much more to explore.